Okay, so group A, we are going to hear from group A.
Good afternoon, members.
Good afternoon.
This is George, Group A, and we're in the group with Maurice. Oh, sorry, Joram, Baba Santrina, Siwala Vimasi, and Musanjo Ryan.
There are 5 of
Our
you in
group
the
is going
group.
to present.
Sorry, just a second. There are 5 of you in the group, but
Yes.
there are only 4 of you in the system. Eh?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Let me read for you what I have. I have Ryan Emmanuel Musaje, George William, Shiwala Vyemasi, and Joram Sechanzi. I'm seeing in the group you have somebody there, Maurice. Maurice is in another group according to the list I received.
Madam, I'm in Group B.
You're in group?
Yeah, he's in Group B. It was sent before he was changed to another group.
Okay, so I should ignore what's on your slide. Eh? So
Yeah, we are
actually,
going to change.
Yeah, so there are actually 4 of you in the group. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Group A, and we are going to present cybersecurity for e-learning platforms. It's a topic we chose. Well, a little background about cybersecurity. E-learning is widely used as a method of learning. By this, even right now, we are using e-learning by using Zoom. So it depends on the internet in its execution. You must have data, that's very clear. It also optimizes computing systems and networks of the internet generation. E-learning maintains a good image of the learning process. It also employs the internet as a place to obtain all necessary information. Basically, here we are talking about how we use the internet and the various ways it helps us in the e-learning platforms. If I'm to go to the second sentence, e-learning has really gone through a spectacular development during the past 2 years. E-learning platforms are widespread and diverse. For example, Moodle, which we use, which is a large and dynamic. Many people use Moodle. Various universities right now have paid, I think they pay for Moodle so they can be able to access it. Yes, so right now, most of the various institutions are using e-learning, most especially in this season, this era we are in of COVID. Yeah, e-learning platforms share the same characteristics and challenges as other e-services, requiring the sharing and distribution of information. More specifically, the consumption of services by a person via the internet and the payment for service by a customer. They are associated with the accessibility of service via the internet. Organizations must put greater emphasis on security risk management. Yeah, this is because right now, due to the increasing number of people who are using e-learning, so the people who are trying to hack those systems have also increased. So we must fight hard and see that we protect the various e-learning systems, the various platforms we are using, so that they can't be hacked anymore. Yep, I don't know if there are other members of mine online so they can continue, or I continue with everything.
Would others please to?
Hello, I'm around.
Yes, please, Joram, please contribute.
Yes, it's been such as Joram, but my network has been a bit poor. Where have you stopped, Mwau George?
On the background, we can continue with the others.
The problem statement. Yeah, with the problem statement, e-learning sites are being hacked by various groups of people. We want to find out more reasons as why the sites are being, how they are hacked, and how we can control the risks of hacking from different sites. And therefore, we came out with general objectives of this statement problem. So we have to determine to examine the spread and performance of cyber security for e-learning platforms, to establish the impact of cyber security for e-learning platforms, to examine the level of cyber security for e-learning platforms. Therefore, we came out with specific objectives, which are specific according to the topic we have above. And here we find out the security threats for e-learning platforms, find out the measures or solutions of cybersecurity for e-learning platforms, find out the cybersecurity issues that relate to e-learning platforms. Is there anyone among our group members who's online who can continue? So I continue.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's proceed to the research scope. And the research scope, this is the study that explains the extent to which the research areas will be explored in the work and specifies the parameters within the study will be operating. Like where this study will be operating, this is the research scope. So we have geographical scope. The geographical scope is to be considered in the way that some places have great network, which eases communication, while others don't have a great one, which makes it difficult to learn. Like some people live in a village, they don't have a good network. Even right now, I've been trying to access, but the network has been failing. I don't know whether some people can hear me. And so some people even fail, like some members, like right now, they cannot access internet due to some issues, like maybe they might have network, but they don't have data. So that is also an issue, but also geographical. The place with a great network are usually the ones at a high risk of being hacked, while places with good network will make hacking easier because it is fast and efficient. So here we have the content scope. The content scope, here we go, where we get to know how these e-learning sites force cybersecurity, what leads us to it, and various ways how how risks can be minimized. It will help in training people on how they can go against the cybersecurity attack. And here we have the time scope. Hello, people, do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear.
One of the big challenges, however, is that I don't know if you're using a phone.
Yeah, I'm using a phone.
Yeah, because it's the view is quite small. Eh?
Yeah, where I am, I can't access a laptop, so I have the information on the phone right now.
Okay.
We did this. This is a group. I think it is a group coursework. Is there anyone who can help me? Or George, you can continue.
Yeah, so he had stopped on the time scope. Time scope,
Yeah.
It means the specific time you're going to take to finish your research, to carry out your research and each and everything. So the proposed study will be
Sorry, George.
conducted.
Sorry, George. Somebody is suggesting that can you rotate your screen so that it can appear wider?
Okay.
Mm.
I don't know if it's okay.
Yeah, this one is better.
Yeah. So as a group, we decided to say that we came out with the final decision. We might take around 2 weeks to gather all the information from the which has been specified in those various objectives up there. The study shall base on the data from 2000 to date as the most relevant data for better analysis and comparison purposes. By this, we are going to get data since 2000, the month we were born, up to now, so that we can use it in the various research we are going to make. To continue to the research significancy, with a study on cybersecurity for e-learning platforms, with the researchers hope that the study will form a basic material for the following beneficiaries. This will be like the research we shall make. It will help the people later on who will come later on if they're making research or trying to find out about something. The information will be useful for planners and decision makers in different institutions dealing with cybersecurity for e-learning platforms. This is like, let me say we later on want to make a cybersecurity, an e-learning platform. We can, based on the research we made, we are going to make in the later days to see how we shall do it and how, the various stuff that we might face, the risks that are coming ahead, the opportunities we have, so we can make a nice one which will be on market and liked by the people. The researcher will also acquire necessary skills of data collection, interpretation, analysis, and discussion. And this will help the researcher in carrying out similar research in future, and also acquiring the award of other degrees related to cybersecurity for e-learning platforms. Yeah, through this, even as we're going to make research, we are going to gain something like, we are going to gain confidence while talking to people, while getting information from other sites. We're going to get to learn new things while searching. We are going to improve our data collection skills, interpretation, analysis. And yeah, basically it's going to be helpful for all of us and those who later on look for the information. These below are some of the references where we managed to get some of the information in the background. Since this research has been made before, we had to put the references from where we have got the information from. That's what we have as Group A. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, George. Please leave it in because as the other view, because I want to ask some questions. George, could you please keep the put back, because there are some certain things I want to ask. I wanted to know, please just flip it again so that we can we go to the problem statement?
Yes, please.
First of all, let's go to the background. Let's go to the background.
Yeah.
So in the background, you are telling us what e-learning is.
Yes, please.
And then you talk about the internet has become a venue for fangled set of illegal activities such as cybercrime, where some of which we protect. So you're saying e-learning platforms are open, interconnected, and distributed. So move to the next. I don't know if the background is still going on. I want to see where you narrow down to the problem. E-learning has been interest in the past.
The problem statements.
Okay, the variety of users. Okay, usually, even in the background, we should know. Okay, but let's go to the problem statement. Let's go to the problem statement and I see what the problem is. Learning sites are being hacked by various groups. We want to find out more reasons as to why these sites are being hacked, how they are hacked, and how we can control these sites from being hacked. Okay. My question to you is, what did literature say?
Yes, please.
What did literature say? Is there any literature that talked about e-learning sites being hacked? What research has been done?
There are some sites we checked and they showed that some of the various e-learning sites are being hacked. Joram, you could help me here or any other member in the group. I guess I'm alone.
No, you're not alone. I'm around, such as Joram.
Okay.
The sites that have been hacked, hopefully it's the question.
Sorry?
Hope the sites that are being hacked, it is the question.
They simply say, sorry, what?
Briefly, tell me the question.
Okay, I wanted to know, what did literature say about these sites being hacked? And especially now, considering yourselves as IT students, the issue is to find solutions, IT solutions for existing problems. So let me give you an example. If let us say an IT student looking at the Ugandan context and sees that we have an increasing number of online shoppers, but they want something more efficient because there's now an X amount of e-commerce sites, and a user wants to come online and do a quick search, and the person says, okay, to bridge this gap, I'm going to develop an IA search engine that's an artificial intelligent search engine to help shoppers, the kind that can pick a user's preferences beforehand and immediately let them know what is available from the web. That is somebody designing a solution. So what I'm also imagining is that kind, especially considering that your IT students, that kind of solution, of saying we now have e-learnings, people are now going online. One, they are going online, and since if they are going online, they are cybersecurity threats. So my question, and most of these institutions are probably not putting up cybersecurity solutions. So I'm going to go out and discover what is the most appropriate cybersecurity solution for. I don't know if you understand. Just like
maybe according to my understanding, like the network has been jumpy, but I can give an example about the model we have. We are using this these days for online. Like when you try accessing, you have a problem with, like, you forgot in your email, you cannot easily access your model. So I think that is the first. Maybe like they can tell you if you've forgotten your password or your user email, you need to first talk to the administrator. I think it says it's an error. You like there are some documents they bring. So maybe that is a clear example when everybody I think has ever tested that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me ask, when we talk about cybersecurity, what are we referring to? When you define it, how did you define cybersecurity?
George, help me there, George.
How did you guys define it?
I'm sorry, I was on a phone call. Cybersecurity, I want to say it's like how people hack. Cybersecurity is when the various sites are being like intruded by people. Okay, it's the security of a network. Should I say it like that? Cybersecurity.
Okay, if I just have
Security.
if I'm just Googling here, I'm not even going to Google Scholar where they'll give you articles which have, but it says here cybersecurity is the practice of defending computers, servers, mobile devices, basically protecting anything that's online, defending it, and data from malicious attacks. Yeah. So as IT students or as IT professionals who want to do research in this, I would imagine you'd be thinking something like, we want to go out. We imagine we have X number of universities which have gone online, and many have not thought about cybersecurity. So we want to think of the most appropriate means of defending our e-learning while people are online. So, and remember when we discussed it, I was even stating that you may think of a solution defending back end or a solution defending the end user. So thinking of that solution, basically defending it from malicious attacks. I don't know if I am, what I'm trying to drive at here is, did you understand, first of all, what cybersecurity is?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Then in terms of application, what is then your solution to try and bridge that gap in time? Are you as ICT students? What do you envision? Okay, let me then, can you tell me what your objective is? What is your objective according to your slides?
The various objectives are to examine the spread, to find out cybersecurity issues. Yes, please.
Just examine the spread, sorry.
To examine the spread and performance of cybersecurity for e-learning platforms, to establish the impact of cybersecurity for e-learning platforms, to examine the level of cybersecurity for e-learning platforms. That's for the general objectives which we found out.
Those objectives are really, really huge. They are quite massive. So please can you put up the slides and we look at it, we look at them, and I would like the others also to critique, to look at it, because doing a proposal, it's a very laborious process, and you really need to think about what you're writing. You need to think about things that are achievable. Could you please share the slides again?
Yep, I'm going to share. Share. Yeah, share.
Okay. Can we go to the problem state, to the objectives? Please scroll to the objectives, scroll down to the objectives. Okay. Now, let me just go back. When we start with the background discussion, as we identify our problem, we must identify a problem. Number one, we must remember that we are IT students. And at the end of this module, in your third year, you're expected to write a project. In your mind, you must remember that you are expected to come up with a solution, a practical solution. Unfortunately for IT students, undergraduate, you can't basically say, I'm going to go and have a dissertation which is critiquing, which is describing something, exploring. No, you're expected to create an artifact. You're expected to create a solution for an existing problem. Now, in the background, your background discussion, if we are looking at that in mind, that we expected to come up with a cybersecurity solution for e-learning platforms. First, in the background, I would need to see a discussion on cybersecurity. First of all, you gave a discussion on e-learning, which was good. One of the things that you misinformed was that Moodle is paid for. No, all of you go and find out what open source technology is, and find out some of those examples. Moodle is one of them, and we get it completely free of charge. It's only the hardware that you come up with, that the institution has to come up with, but it's a free and open source solution. So that's one. Two, a discussion on cybersecurity. Now, why? Because cybersecurity is where the problem lies. The need to implement cybersecurity now that you're going e-learning. The only thing you talked about was hacking. Talk about cybersecurity in general. Yeah, define it, tell us what it is about, and then where is it lacking? And the primary issue is that many institutions in Uganda have gone online but have not implemented cybersecurity. So that is where the problem is. So you'd have one general objective, just one. If you go back to the slides I gave you, you have one general objective, and that general objective would be designing and implementing a cybersecurity solution to protect e-learning platforms, data on e-learning platforms. Then that general objective is then split into about 3 or 4 specific objectives, which all lead to the first one. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Other members of the group, George and other members, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we understand.
Yeah. So this one, that's why you find your objectives are so generic. Establish the impact of cybersecurity for e-learning. This is another research. This is a whole topic on its own. So let's say if we had gone back, if you had come up with, let's say an example, a general objective, one general objective, to design and implement a cybersecurity solution to protect data in e-learning platforms. Then your first objective would be probably, but it would involve you going to determine the cybersecurity loopholes in your specific case study. The second one would be to design the solution. The third one would be to implement. The fourth would be to test and evaluate. Just those four solutions, specific objectives for your one general objective. And if you look at all those four, they all lead to your overall one general objective. I don't know if I'm making sense. Does anybody have a comment or anything? What I'm saying maybe doesn't make sense, because these are issues that what we've seen in Joram's group, George and Joram's group. This is what happens over and over again during dissertations. It's nothing new. You guys don't feel bad, but this is what normally we see. And the reason for having assignments like this is for us to immediately get to see these issues now, before when you're starting to write your proposal, you know what not to do. Does anybody, even if it's not from George's group, from anyone else, do you have any question, or is what I'm saying making sense? If it doesn't make sense, can I explain some more?
It's making sense.
Okay. Anybody, any other group members? Innocent is saying explain. Explain what? What would you like me to explain? Be specific.
Hello, madam.
Yes, please, Innocent. It's Stephen. Yes, now it is Stephen talking. But also, Innocent, you made a comment. I would like to understand. Yes, Stephen.
May you please make summary upon this objective? There's a way I've not understood it very well.
Oh.
If you don't mind, you guys repeat.
Okay. Now, did you understand the part of the background discussion, in the background discussion where I felt they were lacking? They explained something on e-learning, but didn't explain anything on cybersecurity. The only thing they talked about was hacking. But what is cybersecurity? And by going online just now, I talked about the online explanation said cybersecurity is about protecting any online device, whether it's a server, it's a mobile a device like what George is using now, my computer, protecting, making sure that we defend it from any malicious attack. That's what cybersecurity is. Stephen, have you understood? Now, I would have wished that George and his group had explained that. Two, after explaining that, the key issue now is now bringing it into context what they want to do. We are now seeing institutions of higher learning going online, but are they implementing cybersecurity solutions? Are there cybersecurity solutions that are affordable for institutions of higher learning now? George, one of the key points why I pointed out when you misinformed us on Moodle, when I said, Moodle is a free and open source technology. Why did UMU choose a free and open source technology? There are many e-learning platforms that are not. For example, Canvas. I think it's Canvas. Yeah, it's Canvas. There's Blackboard and so on and so forth. We chose it. Number one, it's efficient. Number two, it's free. And considering the financial situation of UMU, it makes sense for ICT to pick something that is free and open source. So now, you as an IT student, we're now seeing all these universities going online, but without sufficient cybersecurity backup. Now, what that then becomes your problem statement. You first see it in your background discussion, then when you come to state it in your problem statement, you make it very clear. And you say, this is the reason, the risk we have institutions of higher learning implementing e-learning solutions, but they do not have, they have not implemented cybersecurity to protect either their servers or end users, depending on which side you want to look at. So now, what then becomes your one and only general objective? You have one general objective, Stephen. The general objective for this particular case would be design and implement an appropriate and affordable cybersecurity solution for UMU's e-learning platforms. That is just one general objective. Stephen, are we together so far?
Better.
Okay, then that general objective, the researcher then splits it into about 3 or 4 specific objectives. Those 3 or 4 specific objectives would all answer the general objective. So I said that the first one that the first specific objective would probably be, I'm just thinking here aloud, would probably be to examine the current loopholes. Yes, in the UMU network, which need protecting, which need defending. Examine. That would be the first one, the first specific objective. So that means as part of your research, you're going to go through a process of examining UMU's network. Probably here you wouldn't go and do interviews, or no, you'd probably go into the network and actually look for the loopholes. Yeah. Second is design a solution to protect the loopholes you discovered. 3, implement that solution. 4, evaluate that solution if it's actually protecting. Those are 4 specific objectives which will then lead you to answering your overall one objective. Stephen, do you understand me?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Innocent, you also had a question.
Yeah, that's the I had the question I had was, are we all supposed to have one objective, like the one you have said that to find the loopholes?
No, this one was for their
in the e-learning
This was for their research
platforms
but,
today,
yeah.
the ones we are.
Yeah,
Yeah, as okay.
Yes, Innocent.
So now these sub-objectives you're talking about, like the 2 other sub-objectives, are they the ones supposed to answer the major objective?
Exactly. You have one general objective, then you'll have 2 or 3 specific objectives which answer the one overall. And if you notice that for each specific objective, you have there is a result at the end of it. Each of them has a very specific. If you went back to the slides, our lecture for that when we went through, I think we talked about objectives. When we said objectives must be smart. Let me see if I can pull out one of these. I don't know if I can get it. Let me see. I just want to pull them out and we. Okay, it says that research objectives must be smart. Smart, they must be specific. What do you want to do or achieve? So like now, for example, the first specific objective was identify the network, should I say vulnerable areas. They say network, they call them network vulnerabilities. If I can try to remember my network, the vulnerable areas in the network. So the first specific objective, I'm just thinking about, I'm just brainstorming here. The first specific objective would be identify the vulnerable areas in the network. That's one. That one is very specific. I'm saying what I want to achieve, to identify. So maybe I would find that maybe a certain ports on the network are hackable, maybe the encryption method we are using to encrypt our data is weak. Those are specific things that I would probably find out. I'm not saying they are there, but in my research, those are the things I would find out. So one, that would be that specific objective. You see, I would know what to look for. Then two, they must be measurable. How will you measure or determine whether you have achieved? The very first specific objective, I would be pointing out specifically what I have found, whether it's the port, whether it's the encryption method, whether we lack a firewall. It's measurable, achievable. One, you must get something that is achievable, given the resources you have. What is relevant? Now, it would be pointless maybe for this group to go and try and find out from the Vice Chancellor what he thinks about cybersecurity. That's irrelevant. What the Vice Chancellor thinks is irrelevant. Or to go and ask those who are accessing Moodle, do you think there is cybersecurity? How would they know? It is you going into the network and studying to see where are the vulnerable areas. Then the last one would be time bound. So you would know that this can be discovered within maybe a week or 2 weeks or 3. Innocent, have you understood me?
Yes, madam.
Okay. I hope these questions are also, this discussion is also helpful to others. Now, George and group, can I request you to first go back and refine it a bit? I don't want to give you a poor mark. George and members, could you go back and just refine this work a bit more?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next group.
Madam.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
So I'm just inquiring,
Yes.
like for each group, in case there are groups here that have done cybersecurity, are all of them supposed to have a general objective about finding measures or like solutions?
Now, for IT students, what I want you to keep in mind, Innocent, is that IT students must be finding a solution. The reason, I know we can do so much more, but unfortunately, for the rules of the university, that's what it is. However, you don't have to be finding the very same solution. For example, George's group may be looking at on the server side. For you, you may be looking at the firewall specifically. Others may be looking at the end users, because also from the end user side, there can be attacks. Innocent, have you understood what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that all of you, because the site, that's why I was requesting, read the topics, read your subject areas clearly. There is a lot. There's really a lot. There is even cyber, you can even look at cyber security via Wi-Fi. Yeah, there are so many areas you can look at. Just the little information I got from Google, I didn't even go Google Scholar, I went to Google. And it said cybersecurity looks at defending anything that is on the network from malicious attack. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the same area. But please, again, Innocent, please note that you have one general objective, then you have the specific objectives. You must have some, it also means, Innocent, that if you're looking at cybersecurity, you must have at least some knowledge on the network. Now, for me, I was just trying to remember, because I'm also not an expert on the network, but I did Cisco some many years ago, so I was just trying to remember from that period. What was happening, but you have to do also a little bit of reading on networks, vulnerabilities that are found on the network, so that you may be able to pinpoint as a group the area you want to focus on.
Yes, so
Yes.
Madam, okay, I've understood. So
Yes.
like I can specify which part the solution is going to focus on. Like,
yes.
Okay, I'm going to give an example of our group. We chose the database part.
That's very good. It is okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So you look at areas of the database which need to be protected. There is the data, there is access, a number of things. So you look at that area. And the other thing also I want you to, when you're looking at, okay, this one may not come now, but imagine you are doing some of you may pick an interest. Imagine you are thinking of something like that. I don't know if you guys have looked at the area of open source. I've been discussing it, but I don't know if you know what open source is.
I'm not sure, but all I know is Moodle is an open source e-learning system
But do you know
written
what
in
open source,
PHP.
do you know what open source means?
Like it's free to, it can be coded by, let me say an open source code is anyone can contribute to the code.
Yes, anyone can contribute. You're free to, it may be free, it may not be free. Most of the times it is free. It means you can copy it and redistribute it. There's no problem. Unlike anything to do with Microsoft, you buy a license to use it, and you cannot copy and redistribute. So even in back-end solutions like cybersecurity, they look for solutions which may be open source or anything like that, but I'd suggest look in that area. Okay, next group. This one is group, let me check where we have Grace. This is group B. Yeah. So please, group B, go ahead.
Actually, good evening, guys.
Good evening, Maurice.
This is Group B, and I'm presenting with my four colleagues who are Grace, Nyanzi, Agaba, Nantanda, and Sister Santrina.
Okay,
So
now, just a second. I noticed there are 6 of you. Here in the system, there are 4 of you.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Nyanzi, I remember I didn't see you in the system. I looked for you. Same thing with Nantanda. You're not in the system.
Madam, maybe they're still sorting themselves out.
Okay.
With Mr. Kasozi.
Okay.
So what we are going to present on is about secure web applications in light of data privacy for web users, and that was the one number 4, I think. So let me start. Yeah, like here, as we are introducing, we say a web application is a computer program that utilizes web browsers and web technology to perform tasks over the internet. Here, for example, we have online forms, web processors, spreadsheets. Yeah, and so let me go on. These programs are developed using web technologies, as you know, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and can be accessed using preferred web browsers. For example, you know them: Google, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, etc. So across the world, web applications have benefits like communication managing information in web databases here, and also making collaborations in businesses, providing data and securing stored data. So here, I'd like to call upon my fellow colleague Grace to take on.
Hello.
Yes, Grace.
Yes, I'm Adere Grace, and I'm going to take over the background to the problem. So here we focus mostly on SQL injection, and since the question on top was talking about web application and linked to data privacy. So because SQL, it's a most popular technique that occurs between, it occurs with the web application that do have databases. So, so for the SQL injection to occur, you need a web application that uses a database. Let's take an example when you're considering a web application that uses a database. You might whereby, let's take an example of the student portal? Yeah, whereby you are required to use your student email and your password in order for you to access your information that is stored in the database. And in that process, let me give you an example how the process of you getting information, or how it occurs. So when you're putting information, like the student number and your password, there is something called as the database query that is generated to the web application and sent to the database. And in that process, the query is executed on the database with relevant information, whereby at the end of the day, it will display your information on the web application screen if it's a success. Let's say when you're trying to log in using your student number and the password, and if it's a success, if the query database is generated and it's a success, you'll be able to access your database and get your data. And I'm going to bring about how the SQL injection now happens. So that process is whereby the attackers come in and manipulate the database query in order to make it do something ideally it's not supposed to do. So in that, they come in and inject some malicious strings on the query database. Yeah, in the process they do that. They inject malicious strings on the query database, since its work is to generate, to travel from the web application to the database. So when it's manipulated and that query is sent to the database where execution takes place and relevant result is sent to the web application. That's where the problems comes in. So let me define to you what a web is. Let me define what SQL injection is. It's referred to as a code injection technique used to execute malicious SQL statement on the database. So I'm going to give a clear example, a scenario whereby I'm trying to access my student portal, whereby it requires my student number or registration number for me to access it. So because the SQL works only on web application and database, when you're logging in your information sent to the database, hence it appears in forms of table. Let's say the database, that's where you have your records, and that's where your information appears from tables. If it's your name, let's say the username and the password, it has to appear there as my student number and the password. And if it's a success, I'll be able to log in. And if it's not, it won't. So in that process, the SQL is there to let you know if you are really, like, if you can access your information, whether it's true or not. And it returns you the value on your screen. That's, let's say, like, if I put my student number correct and the password is wrong, it will generate that that you can't access the database. And if it's a success, that it welcomes you to the new, like, to your database where we can access your information, this and that. So if the SQL query is manipulated, it will always bring all information true, meaning that attackers will make use of the OR logic gates. And if people are well versed with programming, the OR logic gates, whereby if they bring out like my username and the password, if my username is false and the password is true, it will make me access the database despite everything. The logic gates, whereby despite if my username is true and the other one is false, it will still bring my information. That's how the SQL happens. And that's what I have for the database background. Thank you.
Let me call upon Agaba Benja.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Benjamin.
I'm Agaba Benjamin. Am I loud and clear?
As for myself, I can hear you clearly. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be taking on a problem statement. And according to my definition, problem statement, basically, it's a brief description of an issue to be addressed or a condition to be improved upon. So most cases, problem statements are meant to be brief. So here I managed to come up with some, and first one saying web scripting virus, which exploits the code of the web browser and web pages. The next one says web browser hijacks, which occurs when a virus hijacks certain web pages, functions, and many automatically redirect you to the page unintended. And the third one says the cross-site scripting, an act that attackers towards malicious script in the data sent from a website, search or contact form, hence redirect users to websites where they can sell information. And the last one is the union attacks, where you can retrieve data from different database tables. So basically, when you're looking at problem statements, what I know about them, they are supposed to be brief. I don't know if we are supposed to have more than we're having 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it supposed to be one, or we can have the 4?
Now, Benjamin, in your background discussion, especially Grace did a really beautiful job, and I understood the problem. Now, what you're saying here is something else. Should this be part of the problem statement? Actually, by the time somebody comes from the background discussion, the problem statement should be clear. From what Grace discussed, what I understand is the SQL injections are causing vulnerability attacks.
Yes.
That's what I understood. So I thought here that's what you should have been stating clearly. That SQL injections, is it SQL injection? Let me not mispronounce. Are causing vulnerability attacks.
Yes, SQL injection.
There is a need to come up with a solution to prevent these malicious attacks. I thought that's what should be appearing here.
Excuse me, maybe we didn't get that this part for the problem statement that well.
Yeah.
That's why we came up about bringing out other problems that the web application is facing.
Yeah, because now we want to know that problem which you're going to solve. Your background discussion was really good. I understood it. I understood what it is. To something I never knew, and you educated. So I thought this is what would appear here. That's what should essentially.
Benjamin.
Yeah, that's what should appear here. Okay.
And I'm about to correct it.
The objectives, the next step.
Invite Natanda to take us through.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Natanda Hedwig, and I'm going to talk about the objectives of the web application. Respect users' privacy and security. This basically means like when designing the web application, web users expect it to have privacy and security, so that their information cannot easily be hacked into. Encrypt user connections with sites. This goes in with scrambling data so that when the authorized parties can understand the information. Provide a means for users to export their data. Here I can give an example. In case someone wants to access a page, they should be able to, like, the features should easily be displayed so that the users can easily select what they want. Ensure the security for our users' information. This is the same as the first one. Security is key, and privacy. You make sure that the application is secure. Track the user's most used website. Allow the site authentication websites are served with HTTP. Secure cookies from a website, from a web server application over HTTP connection. I'm going through the specific objectives. The first one is to secure proper input validation. Validation means securing data entered in a system, like making sure that data entered in a system is correct. To put more emphasis on limiting social characters, hence data sanitization. Data sanitization means permanently deleting data from a storage media in a manner that you can't recover. After deleting that data, you can't even recover it back. To put more emphasis on management of patches and updates. Most of the pages, like let me say apps, sometimes they need updating. So you have to make sure that that option for updating is there. To recommend using a software or appliance based on web app. To emphasize on hardening your operating system and application. That's all I had.
Now, before we go further, from what we discussed about objectives, do you see a challenge with these other Other classmates, do you see a challenge with these objectives? Number one, there are too many. That is one. And I think essentially the problem with the objectives comes from the fact that you didn't specifically zero down on your problem statement. If we were to narrow down on the problem statement which you discussed in your background, what we would have seen, your first general objective would be just one statement saying, design and implement a solution to overcome SQL injections as a vulnerability attack on web applications. That would have been the general objective. Then your specific objectives, you would look at where are the areas of vulnerability, where the SQL injections attack. You'd identify those areas. That would be your first specific objective. Second is design the solution. Third, implement. Then finally, test and evaluate. That would have been your background discussion was beautiful, but you got lost from problem statement to objectives. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, madam, we're going to adjust it.
Okay. So move to other areas. You have anything else to present?
Yes, Nyanzi Kenneth is coming in.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good
Am I
afternoon.
clear?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm going to take you through our research scope, and I'm going to start with the geographical scope. We made our research based on the Uganda Matters University Web Application System. For example, Umuzipe, the student portal, and the own e-learning websites. Here, students would complain about change of their data, deletion of their information. Others were researched from online articles about web application right to data privacy, in which it said that all human beings have three lives: public, private, and secret. Okay, here I'll give you an example. When we look at, no, first go back up. Okay, when we look at these three examples, we gave the Umuzipe student portal and the online website. Okay, they are linked, whereby students can access through, if you log in the Learning website, and access the student portal. And when you look at them, they all have personal login credentials. Student portal, the students use their student numbers. Then the e-learning website, students use their students' email. So in case of intruders, the students can easily get access to their accounts, whereby most web applications, if an intruder comes, normally you get mail asking you to confirm whether it was you who accessed the the platform. Here it correlates with our research problem we had in regards to end users. So this helps in keeping privacy and security. Can scroll down. The time scope. This research took a period of 2 weeks with a purpose to gather information about securing web applications in the light of data privacy for web users. You can scroll down. You can scroll down. Our research is based on respecting a user's privacy and security, encrypting user connections with sites, and finally it will also provide means for users to export their data. Okay, I'll give an example. When when we are paying tuition, you can use your account. Okay, two options. You can use your account and get the reference directly, or you can go to the finance guy and helps you get some code. So this code is not given out publicly. It's given to the specific part. And when you go to bank tuition, they normally ask for your number to confirm whether it's the original person that's going to pay the amount. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, let me call upon Sister Santrina in Embassy.
Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon, sister.
I'm going to take you through research significance.
Good afternoon to you.
Here, in simple terms, the research significance is defined as importance of the research. So number one, we have it helps in preventing the loss of sensitive information or data by the hackers. Here, hackers try to obtain information directly from an internet-connected device by installing spyware, which sends information from your device to others without your knowledge. And here, hackers may install spyware by tricking you into opening spam email or into clicking on attachments, images, and links. So here, research method helps in preventing that. So another one we have, it maintains users' reputation. Here, research website reputation intelligence helps to protect internet users from known malware sources and malicious. Then number three, we have in business, research prevents unnecessary losses. The research helps the users from overspending on new initiatives or unwanted technology. So lastly, it safeguards web applications from corruption and authorized access from external or internal people. Thank you very much.
For more inquiries, you can check out on those references. That's where I got the work from.
Okay, thank you for your work. Just a few more comments. One, geographical scope. You said you are looking at UMU's Zivasty student portal. I just want to make a clarification. UMU students are using Zivasty for payment, to receive results, and so on and so forth. Now, Zivasty, which is the student portal, the portal you access, Zivasty is a system owned by Zinode, a company called Zinode. So it doesn't belong to UMU. UMU is simply purchasing a service. Yeah. So it's not UMU Zivasty. It's just they just created a portal and put UMU because they are serving several universities. But Zivasty doesn't belong to UMU. It is a service that UMU procured. What is owned by UMU is the e-learning platform. Okay, so Moodle is owned and controlled by the ICT team of UMU. The ICT team does not in any way control the Zivasty site. It has zero control, but it has all the control on Moodle. Two, I've seen for most of you have content scope. Yeah, content scope. For ICT people, IT students, it would be better if you had functional scope because you're going to implement a solution. So you need to identify which functionalities are you going to focus on as far as your solution is concerned. So it really should be functional scope, not content scope. Then let's go to your references. A key point I want all of you to note. In research, we use academic sources, strictly academic sources. That is published articles, articles published on academic journals. We normally can access them, number one, through the library e-resource portal. Two, you can also use Google Scholar. Google Scholar, not Google itself, but Google Scholar, where you'll find published articles. Am I clear on that one?
Yes, madam, you're clear on that.
Okay, so also if you could also go back, make the necessary changes, then upload.
Thanks, but are you going to add us more time for submitting because we see it's ending today?
Yes, I'm sure the problems I'm seeing are the same for everyone. But however, I just want all of you to understand, research is it's something that really takes up our thinking process. So don't beat yourselves up. It's something that really takes up our thinking process. And I want you to start now, because you're going to go through this a lot with your supervisor. So that's the reason why I'm even telling you, go back and do it. I'm not going to penalize anyone for going back to redo, okay?
Thanks, but
okay. Next group. Group C. Group C, are we available? Group C includes Mugaga Ivan, Caroline Najemba, Priska Namuju, Juliet Nasozi, and
Priska is going to share the screen.
Who? Priska.
Priska.
Okay.
Almost like or you can share the screen.
Good morning, guys.
Morning,
my name is
Julia.
Nasozi Julia, and Priska is sharing. So let us first wait for to share. Oh, madam, should I proceed? As
we need to see. We need to see the PowerPoint slides support. Okay, we see it. Is it possible for you to flip? Are you using a phone? Rotate your screen, please, so that we can have a wider view. Yes, that's better.
Okay, madam. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Nasozi Juliet, and I'm giving the introduction. First of all, web application is an application software that runs on a web server. Web applications are accessed by the user through the web browser with an active network connection. It utilizes a web browser and the web technology to perform tasks over the internet.
Juliet, one question. What's your topic? You've just gone straight into the introduction. What's your subject area? What's your topic?
First, go back to page 1.
Okay, secure web
applications in light of data privacy for web users.
Okay.
So I'm giving a brief introduction about the web application and data privacy.
Okay.
So a web application is an application software that runs on a web server. Web applications are accessed by the user through the web browser with an active network connection. It utilizes the web browser and the web technology to perform tasks over the internet. Examples of web applications include the shopping carts, word processors, spreadsheet, and programs, eGig, Gmail, Yahoo, and others. Then data privacy. Data privacy is the first step in protecting your enterprise's data. Data privacy is the right of a citizen to have control over how personal information is collected and used. So we can also bring in some term called data protection. So because data protection is a subset of privacy, this is because protecting user data and sensitive information is the first step to keeping user data private. Data privacy ensures that data shared by the customers is only used for its intended purposes. That's all I had, madam.
Okay.
I call up my other group members to add on. I was only assigned to give the introduction. I call upon Musitwa Paul, Peter Paul, to take over.
Okay. Background to the problem. For example, while I monitored this company, Facebook, and their web application, and noted that from 2019 to 2021, Facebook user data was hacked, and attackers made off with about 533 million account details of different users from different parts of the world, and most of this information was for free and could be accessed easily on the dark web. And also noted that almost every year, according to a certain report I read from PurpleSec, an attack happens on different web applications per year, and the most recent being about an audio sharing application called Clubhouse. And it was also estimated by PurpleSec that in 2018 there were 30 million attacks in that year alone. And now, due to the COVID pandemic, the attacks have increased, targeting different web applications and for people looking to make some quick money. And also they continue to break it down by naming the United States as the most targeted place for cyber attacks. And generally, the 49% of attacks being made directly towards web applications. The most common ones are of ransomware origin. That's what I had. The next person to come up.
Peter, just a comment before we go further. In
Yes, madam.
research, we never say from a certain report, you have to quote your source.
Oh, I forgot it was PurpleSec. I read it was a PurpleSec report.
It also needs to appear in your text, and remember, it should be an academic source.
Yes, madam.
Okay.
All right, my name is Dr. Ivan. I'm going to take you through the problem statement. We found out that a report 2019 found out that the security breaches had increased by 7% over the last 5 years, primarily targeting web applications. And our main and what our research will be talking about is it's how aware the users are about their data online. That was the brief about our problem statement.
Okay. Okay. So what you want to do is to find out if people are aware about their.
Yes.
You
about
realize
their
this is
data.
not an IT area. What would be expected of you as IT students? I hope you are following all the other discussions I had.
Yeah, yes, madam, we are following.
Yes. So far, even from what you're talking, I can see that you're reporting about the massive attacks. But I want to see a problem area where you as IT undergraduate students can come in and implement a solution. Just like the previous group, where they pointed out the issue of SQL injection. Is it SQL injections? Am I saying it right? Grace,
Yes.
from the previous group, am I saying it right? Was it SQL injections or SQL injection?
Yes, madam.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was very
Yes.
specific on web security and data privacy, very specific. Now, which specific area are you looking at? You really need to narrow down that specific area. Because now I'm sure when we come to your objectives, there must be something else. But let's go there. Let's go there, please. Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening,
Good
Priska.
evening. Yes, we came out with the general objectives, and they were to understand how much information users give out on different web applications, to understand different mechanisms that can be implemented to reduce on giving out personal information to different online companies, so that sensitive information is not captured or leaked or sold. So specifically, madam, you talked about the general objectives and you said that the general objective should be one.
Yes.
Not so?
Yeah.
It's general.
One general objective.
So I found out this is, so I don't think, yes, so I don't think that, yeah, our group, this was our mistake, I think.
Yes, and also
I don't think that
your problem statement,
because
that you really haven't identified a problem area which you as IT students can resolve.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so I don't think I can continue anywhere. Let's have a look at the specific object.
Okay, the specific objectives look fine if you are doing more or less of social science research. Yeah, but that's not your area. Your IT students are expected to implement something. The one thing I want you to understand, all of you, research is very wide, I'm hearing an echo. Is there a computer device near you, Priska? Thank you. Now, the one thing I want all of you to understand is that research is wide. If there's so much to do, but me as the lecturer now, I need to prepare you for your dissertation. Your dissertation, which you're going to write at the end, in your third year. Your master's, you may do something else completely. But for now, we are doing, as IT students, you're expected to design and implement a solution. Whether it's in cybersecurity, web application, whether it is in system development, whatever it is. So these would have been nice specific objectives if you are doing social science research, but you're not. They are smart, that one I can see, but they are not for IT students. You can go ahead, Priska.
Carol, continue. Carol.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Najemba
Carol.
Pauline. We have specific objectives. The first one is to determine the extent of users' knowledge on how personal data is collected and secured on the internet. So it is to a lesser extent because users have limited knowledge on how data is collected and secured on the internet. So users just input required information without knowing how their information is collected and mechanisms used to secure that information. The second one we have to understand users' attitudes towards the security of their personal data. For example, are they concerned about it? So some of the users are concerned about the security of their personal data, but not all. Those who are concerned are the ones who have gone an extra mile to acquire some knowledge on information security, or those who have got problems after information has been leaked. The third one is to find out how different web applications use different security mechanisms to secure user data online. So here, using strong authentication methods such as a two-step verification or complex password and changing passwords after a certain filter information that is coming in and going out of the system. That's it. Ivan, you can proceed to another slide.
All right. Given the fact that we have a wrong problem statement, I just want to briefly explain that this survey will be engineered to about 100 people from 2 communities with a digital presence of 70%. I think the rest of that, after 70%, I think the rest of that work is wrong. So generally, we are focusing on 100 people from 2 communities that majorly access internet by 70%. So that's it. That's the last slide. And the last slide, it's about the research significance, and then so in simple terms, we are trying to help users understand how different online companies keep their information to avoid it falling into the wrong hands. And then this research paper will help users understand different ways hackers use to gain the information from companies that use web application. And then lastly, this will also help users be aware of the information, how the information is misused, sold, or reused to specific targets, to target them on the ad level basis. And I'm done, I think.
Okay. Okay, I think you know where your problem lies.
Yes, madam.
Once you correct that, you should be able to correct all the rest. Then also again, looking at your references, academic sources, please.
Oh, yes, madam.
Yeah. Next group, this is group D. Now, according to my system, I've also been chatting with somebody. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Yes, that's true. That's all of you in group D. So can you present, please? Group D, are we ready? Group D members, are we there? Is group D available now, or we move to the next group? What about group E? Are you present? Group E
Yes,
is,
madam.
Group E is available. Group E
We
will be,
wanted to know. Yeah.
Group E is Dennis Kalinzi, Camila Chiwanuka, Nasiwa Rita, Opio Stephen, Doreen. That's group E.
Yes, we are available.
Okay, so can you present?
Share. Rita is going to share, madam.
Okay. Somebody is saying you have another lecture at 4 p.m. Is that true? Should we okay, then when shall we continue? I really need to look at everyone's work individually, all the groups, and give comments. Shall we meet next Thursday, or can we have a day in between? If you're not free, then we can meet next Thursday. Pardon, there's an echo. I think that is Amaku Simon. There is an echo. Consensus, it's a few minutes to 4. We meet next Thursday.
Next Thursday, please.
Okay.
We'll
So let's
continue from there.
okay. Now I hope all of you go back to the comments I've been giving. Can you all please go back to the comments I've been giving and correct yourselves? And another thing I
Excuse me,
noticed.
madam.
Yes, please.
So
Yes.
is it possible to share the recording of the lecture?
Yes, I can send it immediately to ICT and then link the video. Another key point to note, meet as a group. Don't just give somebody, like I had in the previous group, someone said, for me, I was given the introduction. No, meet all of you and discuss it. Discuss your topic thoroughly. Make sure that you see the logic. That's not one part, because now if someone does the introduction and the background, then you have disconnected components. Things are connected. You notice that once the background was problematic, so was the problem statement, so is the objective, so is the scope. All these other things are going to be a problem. The research is logical in flow. So please make sure you meet as a group and discuss something thoroughly. Okay? Is that okay?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Okay.